Now to a developing story. Mesa, Surprise, Scottsdale, and Flagstaff all have been hit by bank robbers this week. So what do you do if you're in a targeted bank the next time something like this happens? ABC 15's Jody Heisner joins us live. Jody, obviously this is a scary thought, but it's more likely than we may think.
Yeah, that's exactly right, Rebecca. It is very scary. In fact, even in one of these circumstances, the robber even opening up fire and hitting a customer. Joining me this morning is security expert Tim Zehring. Tim, the first step really is being aware of your surroundings and who is around you. What do we need to look out for?
Well, before you go into the bank, look and see if there's anybody hiding outside. Also, when you go into the bank, look and see if there's some disruption.
And when we are in the bank, are there some telltale signs that somebody might be acting suspiciously?
Well, what you're always going to see is somebody wearing a hat. A lot of times they wear glasses. They want to cover their identity as much as possible. They may also be wearing excessive clothing so that they can peel off the outer layers and change their description. They might also be acting fidgety. So if you see those things, those are warning signs.
You also mentioned earlier, and we noted in several of these robberies, people wearing masks. It's Halloween time, so they may just come in and go for it. What do you need to do if you're in this situation?
The first rule is do nothing. Anything that you do may escalate violence. However, the second rule is do everything. If somebody's got a gun and they tell you to get on the floor, get on the floor. Do everything that you're told to do.
With one exception, and what is that exception?
The one exception would be if they ask you to go with them. Normally, we don't like to give confrontational advice because every situation is different, but the general hard and fast rule is you don't want to be taken as a hostage.
Now, if we're in this situation, is there ever a time where we should confront this person?
I would tell you no. Now, a trained law enforcement officer might know when it's right to do so. And I certainly couldn't give that advice to your viewers, not knowing all of the circumstances. But the best general rule is don't. Be a good witness.
And as far as preventative things, precautions, what are some ways we can avoid this altogether?
Well, you could always use online banking. That's one option. Using the ATM, you avoid going into the bank, but there are some risks to using the ATM. But most importantly, just keep your eyes open, be alert for things that look suspicious.
All right, thanks, Tim. And coming up in the 6 o'clock hour, we're going to talk more about this and have more tips for you. Reporting live in Scottsdale, Jody Heisner, ABC 15 News. The Fast 15, a number of bank robberies in the Valley this week. We'll tell you the signs a robbery could be about to happen at your bank.
This segment of
4 cities in Arizona have been hit by bank robberies this week alone. One even opening fire inside of a bank, which is a scary thought. But here's the question. What if you're inside of the bank going about your business when something like this happens? What would you do? ABC 15's Jody Heisner joins us live. Jody, you know, this isn't something that most of us want to think about. This isn't something most of us want to plan for, but experts say it is something we should at least have in the back of our head.
Yeah, exactly, Kirk. You know, you think it's something that's never going to happen to you, but this bank right behind me in North Scottsdale was hit yesterday. We've had banks in Mesa, Surprise, and Flagstaff hit all this week. It's an important topic we need to talk about. Joining me this morning is Tim Zehring, a security expert. Tim, first of all, once we get into the bank, we need to be looking at the people around us. What are some key indicators?
Always be aware of your surroundings. If you see a disruption inside the bank, don't go inside. If you really think that there's something suspicious, trust your gut instinct.
When we're looking at the people in the bank, what are some indicators that maybe somebody might be getting ready to do something wrong?
Not always, but most of the time armed robbers wear hats, they wear sunglasses, they might even wear outer clothing that they can take off to change their appearance. They might be acting very fidgety, nervous. If you see some of those warning signs, you could report it to the bank manager or get out of the bank.
Now, in the recent robberies, we've seen people wearing masks. A lot of times they may just bust in and just go for it. What do we need to do if we're in that situation?
If there's a takedown, armed robbery, where the person comes in committing an act of violence right away, best thing to do is do nothing. If they tell you to do something, then you do everything they tell you to do. You just want to make sure you don't do anything that you're not supposed to do so you don't escalate the risk of violence.
Now, you say you always follow their instructions except in one circumstance. What is that?
Generally, we don't like to give confrontational advice because every situation is different, but the general rule is you never go with somebody. If a robber wants to take you as a hostage, don't go.
Scary situation, something like we said, we don't want to think about, but some good advice if you ever end up in that situation. Reporting live in North Scottsdale, Jody Heisner, ABC 15 News.
Yeah, scary situation indeed. You know,